So that is a whopping 30% loss, guys. So this is a $376,000 loss. Yet another power of sale. And you're seeing a theme here, aren't you? So the loss there, you can see, is a massive 22%. That is a loss of nearly 25%. The losses in the Canadian housing super bubble are staggering. And in this video, we're going to get into some of those losses, which are over 50%. It's just absolutely crazy, but these things are really happening. And once again, we go to the biggest bubble in Canada, that is the Greater Toronto area. So Brampton and Milton, again, shout out to Shazzy, put some amazing stuff out there. I've asked him to come on the channel. He doesn't want to, I respect that, but he put some amazing stuff on there, so follow him on Twitter. Brampton and Milton, Ontario, two detached homes, one in Brampton and the other in Milton, bought at the same time in 2022, over asking. Once again, fear of missing out, all these different things were just at the absolute apex during that time in 2022, and now they've been sold for absolutely huge losses. So if you look back in 2022 when it sold for 1.655 million, as you can see on the screen there, and right now it just sold for 1.218 million. So let's actually do the math on that. So the loss there, you can see, is a massive 22%. And just think, guys, from 2022 to 2024, if you look at shadow stats, and I think this is even low, but it gives us a base estimate of what inflation was between those years, you're looking at inflation of around 30%. So you're talking about the real loss that these people are taking is over 50%. And that is what really matters here. It's not the nominal loss, it's your actual purchasing power with the money that you get from that sale. And it is just crazy. So you've also got this house right here in Brampton that sold for a huge loss. So Brampton, obviously, complete dump. So this sold at a 430,000 loss. So you can see it was listed for 1.73 million back in 2022. Fast forward to 2024, it's now worth 1.3 million. So if we do the calculation, you can see that is a loss of nearly 25%. So again, the losses that people are taking in the Canadian super bubble are insane. And it's not unbelievable to us on this channel, because as somebody who's saying that this is going to happen since 2021, and then to see it full circle happen, it really is no shock to me, because the absolute hysteria that drove the market in 2021 was one of the reasons that I came to YouTube and actually started sounding the alarm on this market, because I saw how ridiculous it was. I saw how it wasn't built on any fundamentals at all, and I saw how people were in complete hysteria back then. So absolutely crazy, some of these losses. You've got a massive mansion in Mississauga that sells for $800,000 under the asking price. So the home was sold for just under 4 million, but the list price was nearly 4.8 million. So even these real large, massive custom homes that cost a fortune to build, these McMansions, are selling for huge losses. And that's typically what you would see. The luxury real estate market is always very illiquid, and that is always the market that is the most volatile. But you're seeing the volatility in all markets. So power of sale of the day, Shazzy writes. So you've got lender has listed this property 3 times since February with no takers, despite a whopping $800,000 price reduction. Bought in 2019 for 1.1 million. The original home was torn down and a massive 5-bedroom house was built. Who knows what happened next, as the lender took over in February and put it up for sale. So obviously more distress. You've obviously got the original first price they listed at, which was 3.5 million, and now it's down nearly $1 million. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. $800,000 price reduction is just absolutely insane. And here we have another loss in Brampton. So this is a $376,000 loss. Yet another power of sale. And you're seeing a theme here, aren't you? A lot of the power of sale listings are sold for huge losses as the lenders just want to get them off their balance sheet as soon as possible. So you've got it was sold back in 2022 for $1.251 million, and then it was sold in August for $875,000. So that is a whopping 30% loss, guys. So they are taking a 30% loss here. And once again, that doesn't even include inflation. If you chuck in inflation to that, it's over 60%. So we're talking single family homes, we're talking townhomes, we're talking condos. There are lots of huge losses that are happening, and they're happening since when? They're happening since the peak hysteria. And what you have to bear in mind is there is a massive amount of people that you can't see that are completely upside down on their home purchase. I mean, as you're seeing, these losses are staggering. So to the person who put 5% down and their house is worth 25% less, I mean, they are completely screwed if there's ever a decent appraisal on that property. And, you know, we're actually having somebody that knows a lot about the appraisal fraud that's going on and how that goes right to the top on the podcast channel. So make sure to check that out. So it's also people that are being sued by the builders themselves when they don't actually complete on the purchase. So you can see here, builder files mega $1.5 million lawsuit against buyer who walked away from new home purchase. In 2021, the buyer agreed to purchase this Whitby home for $1.3 million and put $150,000 down with a closing in July 2023. After the buyers failed to close, Arista seized their deposit and dropped a $1.5 million hammer on there for damages nearly $200K more than the agreed price of the home. So it's just absolutely insane, these lawsuits that have been thrown around. It doesn't surprise me that a lot of these builders are going after the buyers because all the builders are in distress themselves. So any money that they can recover in potential lawsuits, it can actually keep their business going a lot longer, because guess what? The environment for building right now across Canada is not good at all. You are seeing across Canada right now, new home construction just grinding to a halt. Even in those hotter markets where you've still got a lot of fear of missing out, like places like Calgary, Edmonton, Halifax, Quebec City, you've basically got the same thing where new construction has ground to a halt because the new construction homes, the prices got so far ahead of the used resale market that buyers have worked it out, and they're thinking, why on earth am I going to pay $800,000 for a new construction home on a tiny lot, essentially a tiny house? Because as we know, Canada, they like to build on these absolutely tiny lots, these lots where you can have laned homes that have literally no backyard. I mean, it's absolutely crazy and shows the land bubble, which has built the housing bubble behind the scenes. Because in reality, when you really think about this bubble and boil it back, it comes down to a land bubble. And that's where the value of your investment goes into, the land. And how stupid does it sound when you're saying, oh, all your money's going into the land and the property that you're buying is actually a depreciating asset. It's actually a huge liability. All the money's in the value of the land. When you have so much supply of land in Canada, you have no real deficit of land whatsoever. But anyway, a lot of these builders are struggling, and they've seen obviously costs for everything skyrocket. But since then, a lot of things like lumber have come down in price a lot. But still, they were building those homes during that time, so they're sat with the bag. They've been caught up in the bullwhip effect, exactly like the auto industry. The auto industry is also suffering with that. And I know that firsthand, that the auto market and where the pricing is for most of the dealers is completely out of whack with the going rate for vehicles. And again, that's because all these used car dealers, they bought these cars when prices were inflated and high, and they don't want to take a loss on the car. They don't want to reduce the price and sell that car at a loss. So some cars are now sitting on lots for over 12 months and they're just not selling, and they're not going to sell because the underlying value is so much less, but the dealer can't afford to take a loss on it. So you're really seeing the economy economy and the bullwhip effect not just happen in the housing market, also happen in other industries as well. The Canadian housing bubble was once again built on human emotion. It was built on FOMO, hysteria, and soon enough, we will be seeing fear, as you're already seeing fear creep into some markets in the Greater Toronto area, which was one of the biggest housing bubbles in the world. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, I'd highly recommend that you check out this video here. And if you're looking for a VPN to protect your privacy, go to expressvpn.com/marketmania. That's the VPN that I use, affiliate link in the description, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.